About the amount of money that you're hoping to collect versus what you're collecting at the moment. But CS Chelugui, the other plan of the government was that there was the promise that you would be spending some 250 billion shillings on MSMEs in 5 years. There was also the Hustler Fund that was supposed to be allocated 50 billion shillings every year. But when you look at the arrangement now, including the budget of the current financial year, 2023-2024, the allocation is 10 billion shillings. But when you look at the statistics, there has been so much money borrowed by Kenyans, over 30 billion shillings. First of all, clarify this for us, because it has been an ongoing question about whose money is this that you're lending. If the promise was 50 billion shillings from the government, but now over 30 billion shillings borrowed, but not from government, because the government has allocated 10 billion shillings, whose money is this?
Thank you very much. Just before I get there, Sam, allow me just to support my sister here on what she said. In our plan, Kenya Kwanza plan, in our manifesto, we identified health, among other issues, as a key to delivery of service in Kenya. And we mapped out health on four areas that needed intervention, which my sister is pushing hard. The human resource and equipment availability, which she's done very well by separating medical services and the human resource. We also looked at insurance for us to succeed, and why the other system, the health, the four pillars, health failed because there was non-functional insurance or manipulated insurance, and then availability of commodities through KEMSA and others, and lastly, the standards. We saw we could have universal health care, but we must standardize the cost. You don't want the same treatment in Nairobi Hospital to be 10 times the same cost in Katundu, just because you're in Nairobi Hospital. We said the hospitality can vary, but the service, the cost of commodity, the cost of treatment should be universal.
Okay.
That is how we can address that. Now, back to your question. Some...
One government approach.
Yeah, that's one government approach.
Okay.
Now, the Hustler Fund is a government intervention to correct a market failure. We had runaway cost of borrowing at the time of our election. As you remember, our president campaign was premised on the hustler. That time, you remember the digital lenders were lending at the rate of 2% per day, 3% per day, hence this initiative. That time, when the president took oath of office and he put us in office, he gave me 23 days. I mobilized my colleagues here, we established the fund, and today as we speak, the numbers are clear. The facts are open. We have everybody knowing. But before I get to that, the question that you raised, we as at today lend out 36 billion shillings, 589, 538, 670 shillings to 21 million Kenyans, 201. We had projected to support 22 million Kenyans. We are short by only 799. So we cover every Kenyan to be onboarded. There are two things that we have already achieved. One, we've been able to map every Kenyan digitally, promote financial literacy, promote digital knowledge, and also begin to introduce a new way of lending in Kenya, that is the credit score, which was not there. All of us here were brought up from humble background. Our parents did not have the security, the titles, and the kind of collateral that is used by conventional banks and lenders. But today, we've given an opportunity. We have rehabilitated 7.5 million Kenyans. We have saved 1.8 billion shillings in their savings. Now they will have a retirement like any other formally employed person. Now, in the end, these 7.5 million Kenyans, whom I call premium hustlers, these are Kenyans who come to us every day in the morning at 4 a.m. They are mamambogas, they are boda guys. They borrow and they repay at 9 p.m. in the evening. So we can afford these fellows to now mainstream financial institutions. Having said that, we also introduced the group loans.
But you haven't told me whose money is this?
Now, we got a grant or a support, budgetary support of 12 billion shillings last year. And we have added another 10 billion shillings this year. The rate of borrowing and repayment, the turnover of this money, the number of transactions per second, at the peak was 325,000 per second. It has never been registered anywhere. It means this is where the hustlers are. So those who pay and repay and borrow and repay are the ones building the fund. So the fund is growing on organically because of those who borrow and those who repay ends up adding up and building the fund. Those are
how is the payment rate versus default rate?
Now, as we speak, we have received, out of 36 billion shillings, we have received in repayment 25.9 billion shillings, amounting to 73%. So those you count as, these are not defaulters. These are fellows who are within the, remove first 1.8 billion from that, you call it default. Because these are monies with us. They are in savings. We are building for them. And in the end, we'll release. At the end, on 30th of this month, we are releasing the first 30% of their savings because they will have the terms and condition of this loan was an annual saving for the short term, and 70% will be long term. That is at age 60. So that is 1.8 billion shillings in savings. And then the term or the loan period is ranging between 14 days to 3 months. So those who are within the borrowing period or the loan period are 4.5 billion shillings, are holding 4.5 billion shillings. So in the end, you will find less than 10% are now within the bracket you can call default, you can call delayed, you can call awaiting recovery for any other reason. You can call them anything.
Mheshimiwa Chelugui, umezungumzia watu ambao wameweza kuwekeza ambao unaita savings 1.8 billion shillings. Ukiangalia kwa wale ambao ni wateja sasa hivi wa Hustler Fund ambao unasema ni milioni 21, ukiondoa kutoka ile bilioni 1.8, hiyo inakupa shilingi 85 peke yake ambazo zimeezekwa kwa mtu mmoja kati yao 21 kutokea Disemba mpaka sasa hivi. Unaweza kutuambia kama huo ndio mwelekeo ama matarajio ya serikali ama la? Shilingi 85 kwa zile watu wamewekeza sasa.
Unaona kuwekesha ni njia moja ya kulete maisha bora baada ya mtu maybe kuacha kazi ama nguvu zake zimeisha ya kufanya kazi. Lakini we have just introduced this product. Remember, we are only 10 months. Now, we are building now voluntary savings. Tutaleta sasa wale jamaa, badala ya yale, we are doing what we call credit-led savings. Now, as we progress, we will promote now savings-led credit, where you shift from now only credit savings to now what you have saved to enable you to borrow more. So, I feel personally that we have succeeded to bring everybody on board and start shifting them from social protection to social security.
Let me add something here on the score.